Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, I know that you're a ramen connoisseur too, as well. Kind of.
Well, no, I never said that.
Okay, not that, but
ramen concert. I just said that I have standards.
Yeah.
Then there is a difference. You
Yeah.
don't have to be a snob up here, but you can still have standards.
Yeah.
And that's what I was mad about as far as quality and pricing.
Yeah.
So
if you had advice in the U.S., what's like your, like if you could piece together the perfect bowl of ramen from price point, so like just everything, like would you be able to, like, can you present one for me right now?
like theoretically?
Yeah, theoretically, like price.
First of all, I would say
everything.
it has to be under $10 because that's still expensive in Japan.
Yeah.
1,000 yen, which
Yeah.
is like $11. Oh, no, I'm sorry. 1,000 yen is like $9 here.
Yeah.
So anything over $10 is already ridiculous to me. It better be darn good. But I could get that. Of course, we have tax and tip and whatnot. So if it has to be around $10.
Okay.
And the broth obviously has to be good. It doesn't have to be super greasy or nothing, or pork based. It could be chicken based or even fish. But the broth is very important, right?
Mm-hmm.
It can't be overly greasy or salty.
Definitely.
Yeah. And then, you guys got to watch this movie Tampopo by Juzo Itami. Classic movie and made in the 80s, but it still rings very, 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 very true to this day. And that's really, the gist of it. Like the soup and the noodle is just art in and of itself. It has to be done well, and there's always ways to make shortcuts for whoever's preparing. If you have to prepare for a lot of people or you got to make it cheap, there are ways to shortcut it and there are ways to do it right.
Yeah, for sure. It's not easy.
And it's not just ramen, whether it's eating pho or eating a burrito, like it's the same.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's, because like last time I was trying to see, like we were talking about it and I'm like, all right, what's a good price point ramen? You're like, none in the US so far. Really? So
yeah, it can't be helped. And it's good that the last 15 years or so they started making real noodles here in factories in California. So that's made a huge difference.
Yeah.
And from what I understand, like before you couldn't even import parts of the pig or that you make stock out of. That was like illegal for tonkotsu at least. So that's made a huge difference.
Yeah.
I don't like super greasy ramen anyway.
Yeah, definitely.
You know what I'm saying? But it's really about making yourself, whether you're a consumer, and then, eating food or literally eating food, or whether you're actually making and serving, people who come to your establishment, you gotta like hold yourself up to a certain standard.
Yeah.
And that's what it's all about.
Yeah. I think that's the thing I saw in Japan is like a lot of most of the restaurants, it's like, well, you have to be, I think we talked about as well that.
Yeah, that's automatic, man.
Competition.
That shouldn't even be a selling point. That's automatic. You have standards, That's a cultural difference there.
Yeah.
Maybe out here in certain scenes, like the food scene or whatever restaurant history, it's not common to have a high standard.
Yeah.
So therefore that might be a selling point. But if you're having a ramen shop or any shop in Japan for that matter, it's automatic. It needs to be good quality where you're out.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So let's see. I'm gonna stay on the food thing because I'm curious. Like when you come out to LA, where's the first place you're gonna stop to get food?
Well, I live in Honolulu now, but I basically grew up in the Bay Area, so I love Mexican food. And
is there a specific spot though? Like you get off that plane, you're like, I need to get this like right now.
Like last night, we went straight to King Tacos in East LA.
Yeah, there you go.
But I'm always torn because I used to be a vegetarian too. I try to eat healthy and whatnot. I tried that for about good 6 or 7 years in my life.
Yeah.
I was either vegetarian or vegan or pescatarian.
Yeah.
So I can't really publicly, be like a glutton,
Yeah.
But I try to be conscious of what I eat, but of course I support things that are made well.
Yeah, definitely.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it doesn't necessarily mean it has to be organic or super expensive or bougie. If it's made well, it's made well. You gotta respect that.
And then if you're at home, what are you like? If you're gonna cook a dish, like what are you gonna cook?
Well, it's really quite simple. I don't do anything crazy. You know, make sure to cook rice well and prepares vegetables, and
Keep it
I
simple.
don't even have to eat meat heavy at home, really.
Yeah.
We just keep it simple. It's all about having the right ingredients, though.
Yeah.
And that was a good thing about me vegetarian for a while. Like, I do care about what vegetables taste like. It's not just about picking up tomatoes or eggplants just for the color of it.
Yeah.
It better like smell right and taste right. That's where the flavor comes from, right? So I do care about vegetables.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Nice. So, going back to the music now, like with the newer rappers and like, or just hip hop in general, like, couple things. Like, how are you with the state of hip hop right now? And actually, there's a few things. Sorry. Okay. How are you with the state of hip hop now? Artists globally, not just here, that you see on the rise, that you really like what they're doing, and actually, let's just go off those two for now.
Well, the first question I talk about with my friends or with my DJ all the time.
Yeah.
Obviously, that's on our minds. But I just feel that people need to be, as fans, honest about how they feel.
Yeah.
Because everything is so trend-based. It's almost like if you go against a trend, you're whack. Or people try to justify like, oh, this is so hot right now, I can't really talk ish about it.
Yeah.
And in fact, you see a lot of hip hop veterans and even academics, kind of justify the state of hip hop right now in terms of lyrics or sound.
Yeah.
But if you really compare what was happening in the 90s and possibly early 2000s, where things were so innovative as far as things, it's just groundbreaking albums week after week after week. And to me, that's not happening right now.
I think the thing that was crazy back then, sorry, I cut you off, but what was crazy to me, at least at the time, even me being young, is just like, the importance that album had when it came out. It was like, wow, like the movement that followed that, or, it's just like now everything's here. It's like here today and it's gone,
Yeah. And obviously that can't be helped. It was almost like watching a really, really great movie with every release that came out.
Yeah.
In back in those days, just as a fan, whether it was an indie release or a major release, it didn't matter. It was like watching an awesome movie every month. And now it's more like everything exists within the music video.
Yeah.
And music videos are supposed to be based on fantasy and selling an image, right? And the way we consume and promote everything is all visual based. And obviously we can't deny that we all live in that visual world.
Yeah, definitely.
Whether it's making videos and sharing it, or that's how we relate to each other.
Yeah.
So it's just the way hip hop has been very commercialized, and the cultural element has been removed from the rap aspect.
Yeah.
If you speak in terms of hip hop, hip hop is supposed to be education. It's supposed to be about b-boying, graffiti, and DJing. Yeah, it's supposed to be about the art.
Yeah.
And the arts.
Yeah.
Plural. But it's kind of been about rap and swag and basically materialism and how well you do those things. It doesn't mean just because you talk about it, you're going to be dope or you can be popular. You got to be very competitive within that field, right? Yeah, so whoever's hot right now, they're hot for a reason. They do everything well. Yeah. And you can't deny that. And me personally, as a fan, I love everything that I hear, really. But compared to what was happening in the 90s, no, it's not as inspiring. Yeah. So you just got to keep it real on both fronts. Yeah.
So is there any specific artists right now you're seeing that you're like, damn, like, I feel like they're going to do well, or I like what they're doing, or the content they're putting out is just crazy globally, just like, not just even.
I mean, I really can't speak beyond who I interact with on the daily level. So people that I work with in Hawaii right now or in Japan, I think they're all super dope.
Yeah. No, they all inspires you as well.
Super dope. Like I just made a music video for Scholar. He's a local kid from Kauai. He's doing awesome on his own. And he's a little bit younger than me, mid to late 20s, perhaps. And everybody else back in Hawaii, love you guys all. Castle Park, Omega 6 is one of the sickest rappers alive in my book.
Yeah, he's out of which island?
Hawaii.
Yeah,
it's so good.
Yeah,
even live.
Yeah,
awesome. There's like myriad of artists. Yeah, and to me, like I told you, like the way I operate now, it's not really just about hip hop or me staying hip hop. It's really about staying creative and working with people.
Yeah.
So I see a lot of dope, photographers, videographers, fashion designers, traditional paint. It doesn't matter to me.
Yeah. So you find influence just in the creatives.
Yeah. So personally, I have my roots and I have my inspirations, but I don't really try to limit myself.
So, like over so far, like this far in your career, like what would you say is like one of the strengths you've had and one of the weaknesses you've had, or like maybe not a weakness, but a downfall you've had or something?
Oh, of course. I mean, the strength is just staying flexible and open to opportunities because I've never really like been bound to, say, a record contract or a manager or being tied to one market. I never really cared for that. And the downfall has been the very same things I just mentioned. Yeah. Really. Because I'm just so not represented by any one particular thing. Yeah. Like for example, you might know from my English works, but I released like 5 albums in Japan, strictly Japanese too. Or I've made this, I made that. And that's just kind of my career, so to speak. Yeah. And then what would you say like top 3 influences in your life from anything? From anything? Yeah. Family, friends, artists. I mean, one, I would say Osamu Tezuka is the godfather or the father of Japanese manga and anime. Mm-hmm. His works definitely formed my life as far as reading his works in my adolescence. And then definitely second part would be hip-hop and West Coast, Bay Area, underground hip-hop in particular. When I met Mystic Journeyman, Del the Funky Homo Sapien, and all the rest of Hieroglyphics, Saphir and Hobo Junction, those guys were pretty much around my age group, but they were just like superheroes to me. Yeah. Just the way they had unique superpowers on the mic, and they were just mind-blowing. Yeah. You know what I mean? So those guys really, really, really shaped me. For sure, yeah. I mean, like Del, he's like one of my favorite like old. And he has not changed. He's been like that exactly the same since I've known him when I was like in my teens. Yeah, yeah. So, and then my third thing I would mention is just world travel. I've traveled since I was a kid, tagging along with my family to when I came into my own. I made it a point to travel as much as I can. Yeah. And even now, there's so many places that I would love to go, but I've never had a opportunity to. But from the little experiences that I've had, those things really shape me and influence me, what I talk about and what I write about. So another thing I want to ask too is like, you being like Japanese person in hip hop or just an Asian in hip hop, like how. Like, have you experienced anything like, I don't know, maybe like discrimination or anything like that? Or like, you have any stories of that? Man, don't get me started. Yeah, because you came up in that time when it's like seeing Asian rappers not, But I don't even mean that in a negative way. But me and my DJ also, we were just talking about that. And I kind of came out to him. As in, the type of discrimination that I experienced the most as being Asian/Asian American is that of being ignored. And I mean that in a broader media political sense where, say, in an election, they talk about blacks, whites, Latinos. Do you even hear about how Asians vote? They don't care. It's not even mentioned. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, it's not just a matter of representation or population. They just don't care. They don't care to interview somebody who is fluent in America, being of Asian descent, or they don't really highlight that opinion because we're not even there. Yeah, which is by design. I feel like we kind of talked about that, so I can talk about this for 30 more minutes. But even more, can I just share this tidbit? No, yeah. Personally, I feel there's been many instances where they just straight up ignore you, like you don't exist because they do it subconsciously. Do you have like a specific example? Okay, so I'll give you a specific example. Let's say you walk, and this may or may not have happened, but I'm just giving an example. Okay. Let's say I'm at a restaurant waiting for, I hope this is not controversial, but let's say I'm just standing by the door and I open the door for somebody and that person happens to be, it doesn't matter what race, but non-Asian. And I open the door for them. And maybe I strike up a conversation like, oh, I'm just waiting in line, so you go ahead. And there's instances where I feel like if I were of the same race as them, they would acknowledge me, look me in the eye, and talk to me. But there's plenty of instances where I feel like they will straight up ignore you and not acknowledge you. So unacknowledgement is a slight way of discrimination because they don't even recognize you as a person behind the face. And I don't even take that as an offense or racism per se.
See, for me, because like I'm half Korean, right? And like I get both sides of things, you know. So that's why like I wanted to ask you, because like there's certain things that sucks because it's like it feels unfair, you know, because it's like sometimes people just assume that like I'm white or whatever, so they'll just give me that like.
This is in Korea or
no? This is just here. I mean, Korea is different.
But just generally,
just generally speaking here. I'm speaking on
even in
not
Cali.
here in America. Cali. But you know, I get moments where people won't know, and then they'll say something negative about either Asians or Koreans, and then it's like, you know, just the fact that like you said, like for me as a human, it bothers me that they would say something just about another person like that because they, you know, I have examples of that. I can go on about that, but like I was wondering, like, because the time that you were in the Bay, you were like in your in high school, right? Throughout that time, and that's like Asian rappers back then, you know, and trying to like be in this, and like, I mean, there wasn't that many people doing it, so I was just wondering like how that affected you, whether it made you like more motivated to like, I don't know if you're trying to like.
So you know what? As far as
this and that, you know?
That particular issue, I was a little bit sheltered because I was in the Bay Area culture. We had a lot of Asian American influencers, like Filipino American DJ, like Hubert, Shortcut, Apollo.
Like all the
go down the list. Go down the list, and I had a lot of Asian American mentors like Jeff Chang and Oliver Wang and Lyrics Born. But to me, I wasn't really emphasize that as a Japanese or Japanese American, and that was really never the point. It was really about being hip hop, and do you have the knowledge and the respect for the culture and what you bring to the table, right? So I did kind of go through a phase where I had to relearn my own history so I can represent my culture. So that's why I started rapping in Japanese and didn't want to mix English to it. Or, you know, I did a whole concept album about Pearl Harbor, and I kind of went through those phases as well. And once that was behind me, I was able to talk about more universal things without even talking about my Asian experience. Like,
So how did it feel for you, like actually completing albums, like your first album, like rapping in Japanese? Like, how did that feel for you personally, like to be able to do a project?
It was very exciting because it was very experimental to me. Because for me, even taking that whole style of complex rhymes and then trying to translate that into Japanese, which I feel that it wasn't really done to that extent until I did it. That was just very exciting for me. You know what I'm saying? So because I heard everything that was happening in Japan back then, but I was like, well, I can definitely swing it a different way. You know, nobody wrote as complex as, you know, like a West Coast flow style of hieroglyphics or.
You know. And how was the general like reaction to it? Like, how did you feel like when you're gonna drop like your first project like that? How did it feel for you personally? Not just like the good films, but like, oh, were you thinking like, oh, are people gonna like this, or how are people gonna react?
No, I mean, I never worry. I mean, that's just been my whole style too. I have a huge buffer between my work and me, my identity as an artist. And I also have a secondary buffer between my identity as an artist and then myself as a human being. So I really don't take anything personally. If it's praised or criticized, I really don't care. What I care most about is my rush of creating that thing, and if I like it enough to put it out. And I always say that I'm not a perfectionist, I'm a satisfactionist. That if I'm satisfied, then I'm good. But if I'm not, though, I'll be very angry. Like I do want to make sure I'm happy with what I put out.
Okay, definitely. So, do you feel like there was ever like a point where you were putting things out because you were so like worried like about with your own work? You're like, I don't know if this is good enough for me to put out, or
Oh yeah, I mean that happens all the time, but
Mhm.
I don't stop. So, for example, I haven't put out a real Japanese album for the last 10 years because I'm always searching, but I'm doing something else the whole time. So it's just whenever something's ready, it comes out. That's just been my thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.